as you know, I'm in real estate, and I've seen the change in clients over the last 15 years who are not just looking for a holiday home. Now they're looking to move. They're looking to come and live here. And that for me is really, really interesting, where you see the kind of all those other good things about the country that won't be in a tourism brochure, the safety, the people, the healthiness of the food, the farmers markets, and these kind of things, which you won't maybe see in a tourism brochure. And I was actually speaking with a client the other day, and she said, because we're up here on the Silver Coast, so not far from Praia del Rey, but more on the kind of the north side of the lagoon, where you have the typical Portuguese towns and things, Nazaré and São Martinho de Porto. And she said, you come here, you feel like you're welcome, but you don't feel like they've changed. You don't feel like they've had to kind of mold themselves into a touristic destination. It's just like, you're welcome here, but this is who we are. And I think that's something quite interesting that you can still discover in Portugal. And it's super interesting to see, now we did this long ago, but now you're looking at more and more people from all over. You mentioned the US, but I mean, it's still the British people. The market is still there. The Germans, Polish, Dutch, Belgian, who are now looking at Portugal as not just a place to visit, but a place to live. And I'm just curious to see how that's developed.
Yeah, I think that it's a good point. There are two different things, I suppose. That having a second home was very much the drive in the 80s and the 90s, as you said, and I think the British market for sure was by far the largest. And I remember, when we negotiate routes, when we're talking to Ryanair and EasyJet, the numbers that we used to provide in terms of how many Brits and the Irish market also was very important. The benefit of a second home to an airline was the fact that you might fly 7 or 8 times a year. So that we have what you could call the shoulder periods: September, October, November, February, March, when you may not be full touristic season. The second home market would really help an airline continue, and that's where the Algarve was very successful. And I think a lot of people were buying what they knew. So if I take the same, a lot of Germans were not buying so much in Portugal. They were buying more in Mallorca. Scandinavians were buying in the Alicante region of Spain. So it was kind of ghetto, ghetto is the wrong word, but you know what I mean? It's kind of Brits were in the Algarve, Germans were in Mallorca, Scandinavians were in the kind of the Alicante coast, Benidorm. And that kind of model was because one bought, and that's how we were selling properties. And all of a sudden you say that hasn't kind of changed. I think what you've now got is second home market is a little bit different. People are buying to rent rather than just buying to stay. But yes, what you're talking about now is people deciding, it's a lifestyle change. And to uproot from one country to another, what benefit does that bring? And of course, I think what Portugal brings straight away, as you rightly said, is the fact that you've got two things. One is, English is, you don't need to speak Portuguese. That's not right to say that, but that's going to be one of the key differences. To a person that doesn't speak multiple languages, that's going to be a real importance, that I can have conversation. I don't feel isolated, and I'm not going to need translators all the time. So, and safety, as you rightly said, those are two that will make people want to try to bring a new life. I suppose then it's the things that come around it, the ability to do things easily. Yes, you've got, it's a small country, so you're not far from Lisbon Airport or Porto Airport or Faro Airport. So we've got connectivity in and out of that market space, which makes it easy for people who want to then go back to home countries, etc. But the systems are pretty good. We talk a lot about the bureaucracy of Portugal, but when you're in the system and you're registered, things work. Things we're a very digital country. Everything is digital, so you can get things. Things happen. It's easy once you're in. It happens.